My name is Maureen Klepper, and I'm the Department of Energy's advisor attaché here at the US Embassy in Paris. But I just wanted to welcome you all. I wanted to give a little background on Solar Decathlon. Most of the teams, of course, already know the background. But the whole point of this is it's a networking event. And so we do have sponsors in the room. And we do have embassy representatives, some of my colleagues in the various areas, because we want public affairs to be following your event. Solar Decathlon Europe will be the first one in France. There have been two in Europe, though, prior, in 2009 and 2011 in Spain. And then also Solar Decathlon China took place this year. And Solar Decathlon, then, the thing is, the Department of Energy, first of all, it's got 20 students that compete. And so this brings in students that have knowledge in architecture, design, interior design, and engineering as well. And so they're all working to compete to build, operate, and live in for 2 weeks a solar-powered home. Those designs then are competed, and there's a set of points of criteria so that it's standard across, and so that's why these competitions can be competed across the world. They're all fairly consistent because they've got pretty much the same aspects for judging. And the Department of Energy signed with the government of France in 2012 a memorandum of agreement so that they could have, Department of Energy would transfer some of that knowledge that it's had on hosting these competitions in the past. So we've got 20 teams that are in France, and I was contacted by Jonathan Knowles, who reached out and said, you know, I hear there's a U.S. Embassy in France, would you guys be interested in this? And of course we're very interested in it. He didn't know there was an energy attaché, and so we immediately connected, wanted to build a rapport. We want to support the U.S. teams, and yeah, and again, and so we've got 2 U.S. teams, but as you guys know, there's the U.S. French team and the U.S. German team. And I'm not going to pick any favorites. So we've got this event. We have a couple of sponsors that are helping to fund this. And again, we wanted the folks in the embassy that are working here to see the work that goes into this for the competitions. We want to hear your stories. We want to hear about how you're going to build these things and transport them from wherever they're being built and get them into Versailles Gardens. It's going to be a very interesting story. So with that, I've got just a little 2-minute video or so, 3 minutes almost, of the recent Solar Decathlon. And so it's got a little bit of a better story to tell than I can.
All right, thank you. I'm Garrett Rose. I'm a student at Brown University, and I'm the sponsorship manager for the team.
I'm Izzy Lubin. I also go to Brown, and we're co-sponsorship managers. Okay. And our project is Textile Haus.
So today we just want to talk to you about 5 different things. We want to talk about the makeup of our team. We've already got a great introduction to the competition, but we want to talk about the competition with context to our project. The sites that the house will live in, both at Versailles and the legacy site where it will go after Versailles. The project itself, we want to talk to you about what Textile Haus means. And also, this is obviously very important, the energy aspects of it, the technical engineering aspects of the house.
So our team is 3 schools, Brown University, Rhode Island School of Design, and the University of Applied Sciences in Erfurt, Germany. And we all have expertise in something different. So Rizzi is an expert in design. Brown is taking care of a lot of the engineering, and FHE is really strong in sustainability and passive house technology. And here's a photo from our summer workshop that we had in Providence, where we had students from all 3 schools working on the design of the house all summer. And our building process is continuing in Providence, the design is happening now, and we're going to start construction in winter.
So this is our current organizational structure. The team is completely run by students. We've got great faculty advisors from all 3 schools that have contributed amazing expertise, as well as Sponsors, 3 of which are up here on the screen, but a lot of our sponsors have contributed a lot of expertise to our management structure. But it's filled with undergraduate students. There are definitely both graduate students and undergraduate students from all 3 schools. And you can see at the bottom, these are 5 classes that are currently running at both Brown and RISD, and there have been courses at all of the schools that have supported the project. So there's curricular integration in the curriculums of the partner schools.
Yeah, and in the spring, a building studio is going to happen at RISD as well with students from Brown and FHE to continue curricular integration.
So this is a picture from a past U.S. Solar Decathlon. This was back when it was in D.C. And so we've already gone over what the Solar Decathlon is, but yeah, we can just kind of skip through some of this. But in terms of this competition, these are the 20 teams that will be or the 19 teams we'll be competing against. We're only one of 2 from the U.S., and it's pretty exciting. All of the teams in the competition are coming from 16 different countries, everywhere from Taiwan to Denmark and Romania, and it's pretty amazing the diverse representation of the different schools.
So there's 10 categories, it's a decathlon, and you can see them all up here, but we have decided to focus the most on innovation, which you'll see, which you'll see from what we're about to tell you. But basically, there's a lot of different approaches to the competition. You can try and win all the categories, which is really hard to do, obviously, but you can also, some teams focus on one or a couple and try and win that one. So we're going for innovation this time.
So the site of this Solar Decathlon is in Versailles, so not too far from here. Next slide. So not far from the Palace of Versailles, as you saw in the image from before, and you can see this road running along here to give you perspective on where this is with the palace up there. So that's this road running along here to the competition, and so we're here. It's exciting to pick our lot this summer. We're right here in Lot C, which we're excited about. We're right next to the team from Mexico. Will be in spot B next to us. This is essentially what the site looks like right now. So the site in Versailles.
Actually, in March. I hope it's better than this.
Yeah,
We'll see
in
tomorrow
March.
about that one.
Yeah, it's coming. I've heard it's gotten a little bit further from where this, but the point being, it was a site that they're building a full solar village here on this site. There's a mini map. So actually, if we go back one. So it's pretty amazing the whole the scale of the exhibition. So you've got the 20 houses, the 20 housing lots in the middle. They're having a public reception area and agora for announcements, and we know the World Cup is going to be going on during the competition, so I imagine we'll be watching some soccer there. And then one of the coolest parts about this is down here. They're calling it the Solar Village. Or the decathletes village, and each team is bringing 30 decathletes, and there are 20 teams. There are going to be 600 architects, engineers that are living here, and we compare it to the Olympic Village at the Olympics. So it'll be a pretty exciting environment for all of us to be in, living there on site. Some more images of the site currently.
So we should talk a little bit about our narrative. So we, from the beginning, have focused on these 3 key themes of weaving, transformation, and playfulness. So weaving, our house is made out of textiles. We'll show you on the next slide an image of that, but we're focusing on using high-performance textiles rather than traditional building materials to sort of try and approach sustainable housing from a whole new angle. And transformation, we've talked a lot about being able to transform the inside space of your house to fit different needs, whether your house is for a small family or for an individual person. And playfulness, so that's our big one. We want our house, Textile House, to be playful, and we want its inhabitants and the people who visit it at the competition to learn about how to live sustainably through play. So we're focusing on the outdoor and the indoor spaces as opportunities for people to be able to touch the walls and to run around the house and to get feedback based on how efficient they're being in their living practices. So
So here we are. This is this one rendering of a few that we're going to show you. Now this house is definitely something unlike anything you've seen before, and unlike you see at the competition. It's definitely, we met this morning and saw the models of all the other teams who are competing, and it's definitely different. But it's pretty amazing to see it come together as a pretty elegant solution to, actually we'll talk about Massive House in a little bit. So this is the floor plan that we're working with right now. The transformation aspect, or the transformation theme we've been working with, encourages a floor plan that's very flexible and that can adapt to different user needs as a family grows. It's an aspect of sustainability that you don't have to buy a new house when you have another kid, or if your living circumstances change, your house can adapt to your needs. So this is our open floor plan right now. One key component of which that is the only non-transformative part of the layout is this right here, which is our central engineering core, which has allowed us to centralize all of our heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems in the house, and to make it much more efficient and easy to construct.
So aside from the mechanical core, everything can be moved.
This is a physical model of the house. So we talked a lot about the legacy of the project and how this house is not just being built for the purpose of the competition. We wanted it to see it go somewhere and serve a purpose after the competition. So this is a property in Lassac, France, in central France. And it's owned and operated by Alexander von Vegasek, past curator of the Pompidou Museum. And it serves as a space for artists and architects to learn, to have workshops, to explore the future of architecture and design. And so the house will be going here, and we're really excited that it will be used at some point after it is exhibited at the property for housing, for people when they're coming to learn about the future of architecture and design. They'll be living in our house.
So currently there aren't workshops at Bois Boucher year-round because of this dormitory problem. So Alexander has offered to take our house and plans in the next several years to build 7 more in an aggregated community so that we can house 40 more students for him year-round.
So now we get into the energy portion, or the technical portion of the house. And so the key thing that we decided from the beginning is that we wanted to design a house that presented an elegant solution to, or an elegant approach to the Passive House energy standard. And for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's currently the most stringent energy standard worldwide. Or in short, it essentially is a requirement for how much energy per square meter in the home can be used for heating and cooling the home. That's a bit of a simplification of it, but we're really excited to be able to meet this really stringent standard in an elegant way.
Yeah. So as you can see by our numbers, our house is going to meet Passive House standard. And
Yeah, these are just some technical systems, and we can talk about this more when we talk about our sponsors, but we've partnered with Wiesmann, who we were actually just meeting with before we came to France, and they've been a fantastic sponsor in helping us develop how we are going to meet the Passive House standard with air circulation and throughout the home. So another thing that we're really excited about is, I don't know if you noticed, and we can go back to images of the home, but the solar panels that you saw on the top of the house were not the flat panels that you're used to seeing, the flat rectangular board-like panels. They're curved. They fit with the elegant curves of the house. And yeah, there we go. And so this serves both a design purpose and a functional purpose. The house was designed in part to allow these flexible solar panels to track the movement of the sun and to optimize the amount of solar energy we're getting from these panels. And these high-efficiency flexible panels are something that is very new. It's a cutting-edge technology, and we've partnered with a company called Pavilion, and they're specializing in mounting these flexible solar panels onto flexible structures.
Yeah, here's a list of all of our sponsors so far. Some of them you mentioned, Saint-Gobain, we were just meeting with, and also Beastman.
Yeah, so Saint-Gobain has been fantastic in enabling the project in that the textile skin would not be possible without their shear fill technology and a lot of their other flexible membrane technologies. Pavilion has facilitated our ability to mount flexible solar panels onto the skin. The Domaine de Bois-Bichet has been fantastic in helping us shape the legacy of the project. And then we have Schneider Electric, which has been helping, Schneider Electric and Beastman, who have been helping us with the technical systems of the house, helping us to meet the Passive House standard with the technology. And Shawmut, Takeo, a lot of the other companies that are helping us logistically managing the project, making sure all of our construction logistics and our fundraising logistics are in order. So it's been a very valuable net of sponsors so far. We are currently, as we said, this is a self-funded project. We have been working, we're running a sponsorship team. We've raised close to what we need so far to make this project a success, but we're moving forward. We have a goal of about $700,000 as the overall project budget that we're working towards.
Yeah. If you're curious, here's an overview of our budget. Yep. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
All right. Well, thank you for having us here today, and thank you for that wonderful handoff from Textile House. It's great to see the stuff that you guys are doing, and the work that's being produced from the United States is fantastic for this decathlon, and we're very excited to be one of two U.S. teams in partnership with other universities from around the world, and we're very happy to be here today. So Maison Réciprocité is the name of our project. Maison is the French word for house, reciprocity being the English pronunciation of the word reciprocity, which often implies a reciprocal relationship or a give and take between two parties or two things. So our team name is Team, or the United States, or English pronunciation of team, and then Réciprocité, which is the French pronunciation of reciprocity. So it's kind of a play on words there, the reciprocal relationship between us and our partner university, University of Angers in France, and kind of how we treat the house and the design process in general. So I'm going to blow past the part and dry what the competition is. I'm sure as you all can tell, these are presentations that we have given at various points throughout this project tenure, and we don't want to bore you with the details again. So on to a little bit more about the schools who are participating. Appalachian State University, where I am a graduate student there, is in Boone, North Carolina, which is in the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's a small school, about 17,000 graduate and undergraduate students. The Department of Technology and Environmental Design, where this project is ran from, is a very unique department that has excellence in renewables, renewable technology, renewable energy systems, sustainability, and they also put a strong focus on pragmatism and doing things that can be done with off-the-shelf technologies. So that's something that we bring to this project, and is a strong guiding principle in the design of our house. Is something that we can do, the common person can do with common technologies that are easily available and accessible to all. So far throughout Appalachian State University, we've been running the project from the tech department, but we've also had collaboration with many different departments and schools, the School of Business, School of Music, we have the Physics department, we have all of these different people coming together in this interdisciplinary partnership, and that's just at Appalachian State. The University of Angers, we have another just wealth of student talent that's working on building security and maintenance, which is something that's a little foreign to us from the States, because we're used to just safety and engineering of that nature, but building security and maintenance is something that is just completely beyond us. So it's very helpful to have University of Angers provide that, and they also work very hard on the landscaping design, on the planning for our meals, because we know nothing about French cooking. They're helping with virtual reality. They have experts who are doing virtual tours of the building. So it's really a reciprocal relationship between the two schools, and they provide a lot of things that we cannot provide at Appalachian. And I just said a lot of what that's proclaiming to say right there. A couple of the design concepts, and it's really interesting to see the design concepts at the competition today, and then hear the things that Textile Haus are doing. And you see there's a lot of universal themes and concepts that run throughout this. No, the two buildings do not look alike. We're more of the boxy and square nature, and they have this wonderful flowing and undulating structure, but a lot of the concepts are the same. Talking about open space and transformable spaces, and for the occupants to be able to program the building to suit their needs, and aging in place and universal design, and a lot of the things that we're doing, all of these teams are doing, they're common themes. They're just executed in a different way. So some of the themes that we have, the urban shell, the living brise-soleil, and the cord. The cord is simply the mechanical module that many teams are doing. It's a factory-made mechanical module that houses all of our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems. You make it in a factory because you have very precise conditions there, and you can test it. You can commission these systems to work well. The living brise-soleil, that's simply our take on a protective layer for the building that really provides for the occupants. So that's where all of our photovoltaic panels and our solar thermal system, and actually the cladding and the louvers of the building are all a part of that living brise-soleil. So they give back to the occupants of the building. And then the urban shell is basically the different spaces, the flexible spaces within that design that can be transformed by the occupants. So to give you an idea of what we're looking at in terms of floor plan, down on the bottom, level 0, that's our first floor. Level 01, the top right of the drawing, that is the second floor. You have a bath, that's a part of the mechanical cord, which is on the left-hand side. And then you have a kitchen and a stairwell. All of the mechanical space is housed within that. That second floor of that mechanical cord is the same thing, except the kitchen becomes a large mechanical room. On the first floor, you have flexible spaces. On the second floor, you have flexible spaces. We may show this as a bedroom with an office. We may show it as a study. But at the end of the day, these are flexible spaces that can be reconfigured the way the occupant sees fit, because the size of the rooms and the accessibility to all of the features of the house are equal, depending on where you're at within that building.
Are those folding walls between the 2 and 3, for instance?
Here. Actually, and thank you for pointing that out, that's not a wall. It may seem like a wall, but it's actually a band that runs the length of the ceiling and floor between each module. See, we're building this with 6 modules, and we're building them in the United States, and we're trucking them over here, shipping them over here. Trucking and shipping. We're getting them over here. And these 6 modules will be joined at each one of those locations. So that's a marriage band between modules. So you see that on the top and the bottom, and that's something that we're expressing as a design element throughout the building, is the structural systems and the mechanical systems that make up the building. So it's actually another interesting point, Passive House certification. That's something that we are also designing to. We're not necessarily trying to get certified as a Passive House building, but we're designing with Passive House principles in mind. So we have a very impressive thermal envelope that is stifling to all of us, because we're not used to working with such a massive amount of insulation. But the tightness and the quality that's expected from Passive House is truly astonishing, and we're happy to be designing around those principles. But if you use Passive House principles, you can use passive heating and cooling design techniques more effectively than you can with a building that's very loose and does not have a very tight thermal envelope. So you can see some of the different bioclimatic strategies that we're implementing in this. The brise-soleil is somewhat indicated with the blue shading at the top right drawing, so the photovoltaic panels, the solar thermal, and the cladding that wrap over the building, and the passive ventilation strategies are also used with the double-heighted vaulted space that can serve as a chimney of sorts. Our two target markets are Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and Angers, France. Winston-Salem is a little town about an hour and a half from Boone, North Carolina, where we're at. And we have a business manager who's been extensively researching that area to determine how viable this solution could be for the Winston-Salem market. And Winston-Salem is a really interesting town. It used to be a manufacturing center, but a lot of that manufacturing has gone away. So there are a lot of areas that need further development. In recent years, it's really picked up around the Winston-Salem market, but they don't have very good affordable solutions for entry-level housing or affordable solutions for for housing in general. And a similar condition exists in France, where affordable housing is just it's not there's not a wealth of that around. So we're designing for each of those markets. We're approaching a housing developer in Winston-Salem to see if we can make this a viable market-ready solution when the project is complete. So our concept, our overall concept of this row house typology that is repeated and can make up a large development is something that we're going to conceptualize and bring as a prototype to the competition, but we're actually trying to develop the concept further. And we were actually fortunate enough in the 2011 competition, Appalachian State competed and was able to sell the plans of the solar homestead, which was the entry in 2011, to a modular housing company. So they own the plans and they can actually produce that, and you can own your own solar homestead. So we're trying to do a similar thing based on reciprocity. We're trying to make this a real solution that's going to be realized in the communities in which we live. And then in Angers, we are also working to have our prototype purchased by a French social housing company. So similar to our partners, we're not trying to bring the house back with us. And with that, I will let Mark tell you about some of the things that we're doing.
All right.
Communication.
I'm Mark Bridges. I'm the communications manager for Team Réciprocité. And I know at times like these, people love hearing about the energy, the architecture. So when you want to come and talk about Facebook and Twitter, people kind of just like turn away and not really worry about things anymore. But kind of what we have here today, we have over 1,000 students work on this project so far, so our family's really big. And our goal at App State is to work on 1,700 students. At Angers, it's over 500. And we're hoping it's an unprecedented number of students to do this. Right now, we have 8 full-time graduate managers, 27 part-time undergraduate student interns, which that fluctuates. It's been fluctuating since the summer. And then right now, and I know this number has changed drastically since this last deliverable, as I know Rizzy and Brown know, it's sleepless hours and energy drinks and a lot of hatefulness that goes on in just a span of a few days. I meant love, sorry. Yeah, like I said, 2,200 students, but I really would like to tell a story because part of communications is doing public outreach, and when you try to explain a monocrystalline PV to a 5-year-old, he has no idea what's going on. But then when you tell it to a 63-year-old that's still doing hand drawings in CAD 2001, where do you go between those two? But recently, during this most recent deliverable, we had a middle school and high school technology and agriculture group come through, and when I signed up, I got the email, I said, this is cool, 60 students gonna come through headquarters at a time when people aren't sleeping. I didn't think that part through, so when 60 students showed up on 2 buses, I brought them through headquarters. I got a lot of glaring looks and was kindly taken aside, take them outside, show them the homestead. Just don't bring them through here yet. But actually a lot of our students stepped up. Construction manager explained the process of what he's doing. Our construction manager explained the process of what he's doing, but everyone step up and play a role. But one of the best parts is seeing the look on these kids' faces when they start getting interested and they find something to attach to. And you start to figure out where that bubble is changing and the sustainability process is taking over and the ages are just getting younger and younger. I had one girl come up to me and I'm pretty sure she was in 7th grade. And she asked me, do you have any tips on the geodesic the modularity and sustainability of the geodesic dome. And I just laughed, I was like, what? Do you know what vinegar and baking soda do? Yeah, it's about the age, but it's those times when you see the looks on kids' faces, and I had another student email me saying, thank you so much for that tour. I'm now coming to Appalachian State. I want to learn more about the sustainability process, and I hope that by the time I get there, we're doing another decathlon. But it's times like those where you're really glad you're involved in events such as this. And then turn over to Eric.
How's everybody doing? I'm Eric Burgoyne. I'm a graduate student at Appalachian State University. I'm the sponsorship manager for the Solar Decathlon. It's a very interesting crowd we have here. This is usually the time where we try to get a commitment. It's not what we're looking for today. It's been very interesting. It's been a long road to go down, to be 7 months away from a competition, to have a building half built, getting some of the most experiential learning you can, knowing how much money you have to spend and how much you have. And in business and in this project, those two numbers really never line up. The biggest thing for me coming here today and meeting with the Textile House is we obviously never have given these presentations together before. And we talk about the other team being the only other school from the United States, probably make a few little brown jokes that nobody knows who they are, and move on. But the student passion is something that is clearly across the board and across cultures. In a previous life of mine, I had an opportunity for several years to work for a semester abroad program, which was a non-experiential world travel program. And it really hammered home the importance of producing global citizens in the world. And the fact that buildings consume 48% of the energy that is consumed around the world is not held within the borders of the United States. So to have the opportunity to work on this project collaboratively with the students from Mount Jay, I'm not going to say it's the easiest. I'd rather build a 110 volt, 60 hertz electrical system any day of the week where I can go to Home Depot and buy parts. But the experience here is great, and meeting you students from the Textile House team, it's not just us, and we know we're in the middle of a 7-month bear here, and in June you're going to have a fantastic house, we're going to have a fantastic house, and I hope that we have a celebration party with 2 USA teams in first and second. I think we'll just agree to disagree right now. Who will be the first team, and we'll talk about that in June. But one of the biggest things we have is...
Maureen, you want to take him up on it? Come back here?
Yeah, we would love to come back here. If you can have, 60 exhausted, stinky students, that'd be great. And I love what you said, cast a wide net in sponsorship. And, sponsorship is like sales with no good product. You're going to get less than a 10% return. So I'd really like to thank the people up on this board, especially the Roxol Corporation, which is Roxol in the U.S., Rock Wool here in the European Union. Stefano, one of our sponsors, is here with us. Roxol has provided that massive thermal envelope that Scott has talked about, and many of our other partner companies. And we'd just like to thank everyone for their time. And I guess this is question and answers.
Yes.